Hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing whatever day it is today. I have no idea what day it is. I hope you guys are having a good day. Today I wanted to do a get ready with me and I wanted to talk about some stuff that's going on right now in the YouTube community, mainly with one person in particular who, interestingly enough, about this time last year I was making a video about, because apparently the new year, it's like new year, new scandal for Logan Paul. So today we're going to be talking about the Logan Paul situation, and I'm going to be doing a get ready with me. I am doing kind of a light makeup get ready with me because I actually have somewhere to go and I have to do, I don't want to do like a full beat for that. So, which is probably good though, because I don't think this is going to take me too long, because all I really have to say is what I'm going to say. Logan Paul, if you don't know who he is a YouTuber. He does like vlogs. He used to do the daily vlogs because it was like, it's every day, bro, and he used to be like super into that, but now it seems like his content has kind of switched. He hasn't really, like, I don't really even know what his content is anymore, because to be perfectly honest, it doesn't matter to me in the slightest. Just when it comes to like his day-to-day existence, I don't really care what he's doing. So he's at 18.7 million, which is a lot of subscribers. I feel like he's just getting less views and less attention than he was last year. I know he has a podcast, and that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So he started this podcast called Impulsive, which I don't know. I'm not gonna judge, I guess, about a name. But so he started this podcast, and you know, I feel like he's been out of drama for a while, but on one of his newest podcasts, he was talking to, I think it was the Brother Nature kid, who like talks to the deer, and he was talking about his New Year's resolutions and how for the new year, he wants to do one resolution, like couple resolutions a month. And so the first month it was like, I'm gonna be vegan, I'm gonna be sober, and it was like a couple other things. And everyone was like, oh, but it's just for a month, because then in February, we're gonna drink excessively and we're gonna party it up, and like that's February. But then March is what caused people to be like, what are you talking about? So he said he wanted to do Men March, where in March, he was going to only be hooking up with men. And that was his whole thing for March. He was just for 1 month, he's gonna go gay, and then I think his exact words were he's gonna swing back for April. So he's gonna swing one way for 1 month and then swing back. He's gonna try to go gay for a month. Obviously, first and foremost, that's just freaking stupid. Like, that's literally just dumb. But there's been a lot of outrage surrounding this, as there should be, because that's an incredibly close-minded and stupid thing to say. And I feel like a lot of people, though, what I've been seeing, certain people are outraged. I know GLAAD, which is kind of the big LGBTQIA plus organization, spoke out and was like, that's not how it works. And Logan Paul's response was, because he's so classy, bad choice of words. Let's talk about this on my podcast next week. So, and you know, maybe he was genuine. Maybe he was like, hey, come on my podcast and educate me. But it just kind of felt like, instead of a genuine apology, because he didn't even apologize. He just said bad choice of words. And then he plugged his podcast because he knew this was going to be his official statement on this thing. So now it's like, oh, I have a podcast, by the way. It just felt really douchey. And I think people were mad and angry for a couple of reasons. Like, I think there were a few things that made people mad about this, and rightfully so. The first aspect of it is that, because I'm seeing a lot of people being like, well, I don't understand why this is offensive. Like, why is this so offensive to people? It's just a joke about being gay, you know? And there's a lot of reasons this is offensive. I think the biggest one, first and foremost, is insinuating that being gay is a choice. Because it's not. Amongst people who are homophobic, a lot of the rhetoric of people who do not believe that gay people should have rights, think that being gay is wrong, and believe that being gay is a bad thing. For those people, the rhetoric of them is it's a choice, and you're choosing to do this to yourself. You're choosing to, a lot of times it's a religious thing, a lot of times it's not, but they're saying it's a choice. You can go to a camp and you can get corrected by this. You can have horrible things happen to you to try to correct what is being done to you. So to make it sound like it's a choice, and to make it sound like, first of all, it's just uneducated. It's just not understanding the horrors that the LGBTQIA plus community has had to face. Just to deny that, first of all. Because, like, have you not heard about the Stonewall riots? Have you not heard about, you know, the young teenage children who are brought up by their parents telling them it's a choice, and by not accepting them, and then they kill themselves? Like, it's a really serious topic, and it's sad that it's so serious, because it shouldn't be. It's something that should just be, you should just let people be who they want to be. Talking about this genuinely makes me very sad, because I've learned a lot about a lot of this stuff, and it just, like, the oppression of people in the LGBTQIA plus community is absolutely disgusting. The amount of people that have been murdered, that have been wrongfully accused of things, that have been tortured, that have been, you know, violently attacked, just for loving who they want to love, it just makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. And so when you're perpetuating to your very young audience that it's just something funny that you're gonna do for a month, because it was meant as a joke, and I get it, but the joke didn't land. And this is something I don't think that a lot of people have started to realize yet, and it's like making fun of oppressed groups of people while they're still oppressed is just never going to be funny to most people. It's just never going to be. One of my best friends from college is gay, and he has boyfriends from, you know, he dates and everything. And I'll never forget the time we were walking somewhere and he was holding his boyfriend's hand, and a man just straight up was like, that is so disgusting. That is disgusting. Don't do that in public. Like, I don't want to see this in public. They were just holding hands. They weren't like making out on the side of a car. Like, they were literally holding hands. He was, that's disgusting. I don't want to see that in public. I don't need to see this. And we're in a grocery store. We're not like invading his home, forcing him to look at these two boys holding hands, and him just continually harassing my friends, being like, that is disgusting, that is disgusting. And the fact that that happened like last year, like 2018, that happened. I think people think that we've come so much farther, and we have. I mean, the LGBTQIA community has come such a long way and such a far way, and like so many positive things have happened. Like in America, you can now marry anyone you want to marry in all 50 states, which is huge. Like that happened, but that only happened 4 years ago. And that was a very controversial ruling by the Supreme Court. Like, I was celebrating and my friends and I were celebrating that, but there were people who were terrified of that and hated that. And there were justices who wouldn't marry people still. There were people protesting gay weddings, and, you know, there were thousands of gay people getting married, and it was a beautiful time, but it was clouded by this homophobia. It's so absolutely heartbreaking. When you really think about it, it's heartbreaking, because what a lot of studies have shown about, because I guess it's important when you say like being gay is not a choice, it's to explain why. There's a lot of things that the way that I best have had it explained to me is that society exists as far as sexuality. We don't exist as just like gay or straight or a lesbian or straight. We exist on a spectrum. So most people are not 100% straight, and most people are not 100% gay. There's a really good TED Talk, I'll link it down below. It's called 50 Shades of Gay. It's absolutely fascinating. Like, it's so interesting. I've watched it a lot because I think it's such a good TED Talk. And I'll link that down below for you guys so you can kind of learn more about this. But it's basically just saying that like most people, when asked, this goes back to the work of like Alfred Kinsey, who's like one of the big sexologists. I just took a human sexualities class, so I know way too much about this. Alfred Kinsey did all this research and he asked all these people, and while that study is kind of like they've done other versions of that study and shown that the ultimate findings were true, that most people exist on a spectrum of being their sexuality. It's not just gay or straight, it's somewhere in the middle. So with that in mind, imagine how many children who watch Logan Paul's channel and all of that, and imagine the kids who are like teenagers, who are like 12, 13, when you're just starting, not actually, and this is another interesting thing, is that this is not something everyone believes, but it's the truth. It's backed by research, so I don't know how else to make people believe it. But kids become aware of their sexualities at around age like 3 to 4. That's when you start to know about not only your sexuality but also your gender identity. If you identify as a male or a female, you start thinking about that stuff and being aware of that stuff. Whether you act on it or not at that age is a different story, but you start being aware that something might be different or off at that age. And I put those in quotes because I hate those words, but that's the words that are used. But there's always those things. Like kids are aware when something is going on with them. They're aware of those things. They're capable of being aware of those things. So imagine all of the children watching that podcast, hearing him making a joke about something like that, making a joke about their sexuality and saying, oh, well, I'm just going to swing back and forth between being gay for a month just for a laugh and for a joke, just to see if I can do it, which implies, you know, how weird it supposedly is and promotes that stigma of being like weird. And it's the thing of like, again, the same thing with like the suicide forest when all of that happened with Logan Paul. It's just like, you have this audience of children and you just don't care. Like, you just don't care that you could have hurt a child by saying that. Many children, because millions of kids watch you. That comment hurts people. Children who are currently questioning and children who are confused about what's going on in their life and who feel like their parents wouldn't accept them if they came out to them as gay, and that they aren't, especially with like men too. Like, I've read a lot of articles, and I'll link some down below, about how men and young boys really struggle too, because they feel like they're not living up to that masculinity that they are supposed to have as young men. We've taught our society that being gay means you're not masculine, which is completely a false rhetoric, but that's just how our society is right now. And by the way, I'm talking about American culture. I cannot speak to other cultures around the world. I can only speak to what I have learned about American culture. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that he promoted that to his followers. It's heartbreaking that more kids might stay in the closet now because their idol made fun of who they are as people. And it's heartbreaking for the community as a whole, because for kids who maybe aren't questioning or do consider themselves straight, they are now learning from their idol, because for whatever reason all these kids really idolize him. They're now learning from their idol that being gay is a choice, and they're now learning that all of those people that were hurt and beaten and viciously attacked and killed for being gay, they had the choice to not do that. They had the choice to not be killed for loving who they wanted to love, when in reality that's not the case at all. That's not how it went. So just the miseducation as well is frustrating. I think the only other thing I have heard about this that I'm just like, I disagree. I saw quite a few people saying that what if this was Logan's way of coming out, and what if he is just wanting to experiment with men and he just wants an excuse to do so. He's trying to grapple with his sexuality and he doesn't want to get caught, so he's saying this is like a ruse to be able to come out and all of this. And like, maybe in a Shane Dawson conspiracy world, that's what he's doing. Based on all of Logan's previous actions, I personally don't think that's the case. And even if that were the case, I don't think that's the way you would go about it. Like, I don't know, that's a tricky one, because like, what if that is what he's doing? And even if that is, what he said was still wrong. Like, even if that's the way he wanted to go about trying to figure out his sexuality, the way that he went about that was still incorrect. Like, what he said was wrong. It was misinformed, it was uneducated, and it was stupid to spread to your very young, impressionable audience. Like, whatever the reasoning, it was still wrong, and it was still stupid. However, if he is actually like struggling with his sexuality, I obviously hope that he like is able to figure it out. And I obviously hope he doesn't have to feel like he has to pull these gimmicks to, and this is hard because I don't really think he is. I think he's just mocking the LGBTQIA plus community. But if he actually, because I don't know this person. So if he actually is struggling with that, I hope he doesn't feel the need to, for the rest of his life, make fun of that community to be able to feel like he's better than that because he's struggling internally with this. I hope that if he's not 100% straight on the spectrum of being gay, like that he, instead of making a mockery of it and being self-deprecating about it and trying to make himself feel better by putting down another community, I hope he instead chooses to uplift. At the end of the day, I think normally I sit here and I'm like, well, let's cancel. Like, we're done with this now. But I've already been done with Logan Paul for ever since the suicide forest thing, and I think a lot of people have. I think the only thing is to like keep that done going on forward. Like, let's just keep being like, we're see no evil, hear no evil, and call it out when it's something like this, where like it's not just a stupid opinion, it's a dangerous opinion. It's spreading false narratives, it's spreading propaganda, it's spreading things that aren't true. Kind of like the most important takeaway here is I hope that he does apologize, and I actually hope he does do something with like people in the community, people who have survived attacks. And I hope, because even if it's not genuine, at least his following will see that it's not a choice, and at least his following will get to hear like it's okay to be this way. People have fought and died for you to be able to love who you want to love, and it is getting better. And one day we are going to hopefully live in a society that's totally accepting of that. And I think that would be overall a really positive outcome from this. But I don't see him doing something like that because he's kind of a jerk. He's kind of a douchebag. Well, that was my video for today. I hope it wasn't too ranty or rambly. I just had a lot to say about this because I feel very strongly that mocking communities that have been oppressed is freaking disgusting. And by the way, I totally forgot about this until right in this moment, but Keemstar tweeted out that, because Keemstar is a little gnome who just doesn't go away, Keemstar tweeted out that he's heard gay people make jokes about going straight, and he doesn't understand why there's outrage for a straight person wanting to go gay for a month, but not for a gay person who wants to go straight for a month. And the answer is super simple. Straight people have never been oppressed for being straight. That's the answer. That's the answer to your question. I know that there is a new rhetoric going around that straight people are somehow oppressed because they choose to be straight. I've seen a lot of tweets from people who I strongly disagree with that are like hashtag it's okay to be straight. It's always been okay to be straight. It's never not been okay. It's never not been the societal norm. We live in a very heteronormative society, which means that the majority of people and the acceptable way to live is to be straight. Thankfully, we are being more accepting of that, and we are becoming a little bit more better with that. But so no, Keemstar, you absolute freaking idiot. That's why. You've never been oppressed for being straight. Gay people on a daily basis, I guarantee you, every single person who falls under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella has felt oppression at some point in their lives, even to this day. So that's that on that. Yeah, I really hated that tweet. That just was so stupid. Like, I just can't understand that mindset of thinking. Like, I just don't understand it. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. I'm honestly just so happy you're watching me. Thank you for being here. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Everything I'm wearing on my face, my merch, my social medias, and a lot of other fun little links are down in the description box you can go check out. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!